Welcome to our crash course in turning your 3D print into candy. The first thing you need is food-safe molding compound. Very important. If it's not food safe, you shouldn't eat what you make with it. And you'll notice that the kit comes with 2 ingredients, one set of purple putty and one set of white putty. Take 1 piece of each type of putty and try to make them about the same size. Then you thoroughly mix them by squishing them together. The great thing about the 2 colors is you know that they're fully mixed when you don't see any more white streaks, just sort of a lighter version of the purple that you started with. Mixing is important because you're mixing a chemical in the purple putty with a chemical in the white putty, and when they react together, the entire mixture hardens up and keeps its shape. Now that it's evenly mixed, we push it onto a flat surface and we push our 3D print into the molding compound. To make a nice clean mold, it's important to make sure that you go around the outside and squish the putty up all the way against all the outer edges of your print. Any gaps you leave are one more space for the chocolate to fill, and that might change the shape of your design. And now we follow the directions that came with the kit. We wait 20 minutes for the chemicals to cure and harden. Wow, that felt like forever. I'm glad we're done. I was starting to get impatient. Let's take a look at our first design. This is the one that will have a raised snake and raised hissing. You'll notice there's a little bit of a blob on one side, kind of hanging over the top of where we would pull the candy out. That might get in our way, but fortunately we have a backup mold in case that doesn't work out. This one has our engraved hissing design, and it looks like it also has a hole. But let's try to use it anyway. It's a small hole and chocolate is pretty thick, so it probably won't be too much of a disaster even if it leaks. You can melt chocolate a lot of different ways, but we choose to use an electric chocolate melter that's perfect for inexpensive candy melts. We're going to use some pink tinted white chocolate and we're just going to pour it into the mold. We have 4 to work with, so if that one with the hole doesn't work out, fortunately we've got some backup. If you're making chocolate pops, you need to make sure your stick is nicely secured in the chocolate, or it might pop back out when you take it from the mold. This one needs a little help, so we'll just cover it up with some extra melted chocolate. All right, the chocolate has hardened, and we have now reached the magic moment where we remove our candy and possibly eat it. Let's inspect. We're missing some S's. His nose is cut off, and there's a big hole in his tail. Let's try number 2. Same issue. So now I have redesigned and reprinted my snakes. The engravings are a little bit deeper and the raised parts are a little taller. Oh, face holes all over again. Now we check his slightly taller friend, and I still see 2 big face holes, and his tail has a hole, and the S's are weird. So, if the chocolate is not falling all the way to the bottom of the mold, that must mean something is in its way. And the only other thing in this mold is air. So we're going to scrape this chocolate across the design, and hopefully that will reveal any air bubbles, like those ones. And when we see them, we can press the chocolate down into them. We'll just do a little scrape and press. Scrape to check that it's in there. I do see it filling the design. Oop, there's another hole. Another way you could take care of this problem is to take a paintbrush and actually paint the melted chocolate into the fine details of your mold before filling it the rest of the way with chocolate. And now, if you take a full mold of chocolate and disturb it by shaking it, or in this case, picking it up and dropping it on a hard surface, it disturbs the liquid chocolate, and that causes any air bubbles that are stuck in the bottom to start floating up to the top. You can actually see a few of them right here on the surface of the chocolate. Now let's check the trouble areas, and if we look at his tail is nice and clean. He has only 1 tiny hole in his face, and the 2 S's I spent some time on look good. Let's take a side-by-side look at our old attempt. Definitely better this time. And this one, remember, has the engraved feature. Let's take a close look at those S's. The face and tail look great, and the S's still have air bubbles, but if we compare it to our last attempt, the chocolate between the S's has an uneven, even wavy surface, and if you look at our newer version, the chocolate between the S's is relatively flat. I hope this short guide and troubleshooting session has been helpful to you. There are a lot of resources online for making great chocolates, but this should be enough to get you started. Good luck with your candies!